welcome to another episode of the Mystical Journey of CNC. And today I'm excited to present Wendy Allamby. She's here with us. She does wonderful work. She brought cards. We're going to talk a little bit about her jewelry. But welcome.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, guys. It's so great to see you all. And I'm so grateful to be here with you.
Well,
I love you both.
We are grateful to have you. And the first question I wanted to ask is, I mean, we've known each other for years, but I don't know if I ever asked, like, how did you get into this work, this spiritual work, and was it something that was always with you? I know I'm asking a lot of different questions, but because I know you're also a dancer, because that's how we connected years ago when I had a reading with you and we talked about ballet and all this. So can you tell us a bit about your journey and how you started in this work? How did you discover your gift and what you're doing now? But let's start with the beginning.
Talk about the beginning. Can I just say, and to all you who are watching and listening right now, the first time I saw you, I didn't see all of this beautiful face, etc. All I saw was boots, and I will never forget it. You had these rainbow boots that were so magnificent and blew my mind, and I was like, oh my gosh, the boots. And then I looked up, and I mean, you're gorgeous and you always have a beautiful inside and out, but those boots are phenomenal. I just want to start by
I'll
saying
wear them on the next episode so that way you can know what we're talking about.
You should see them, guys.
You'll have to have your feet on the table.
Yeah, next time I'll
Yeah, so basically for myself, I grew up in England, born and bred. Fairies at the bottom of the garden were completely normal. In Cornwall, our signature symbol is the Cornish pixie. So again, elementals. There were tin mines in Cornwall back in the day, and they had mischievous pixies apparently down there, and that's where the Cornish pasty comes from for all you foodies out there. But for myself, I was born highly sensitive, highly intuitive, and very open in that way. So it was very normal and natural for me. I could see, hear, feel the whole spectrum when it came to spirits, but also ghosts, which was a bit unnerving for me, needless to say. I was a child of the 70s, just so you guys know, and in the 70s this was not a profession, what I do with using my intuitive gifts, working with cards and so forth. So there was nobody to train at the time about protection, for example, which is one thing I've taught for years consequently, so that people feel safe and loved and they can get through this journey that we call life here. So I knew from the get-go I had two passions, two loves, and that was dancing, which I knew from age 9. I was going to be a professional dancer. That was my love, my passion. I started from when I was teeny tiny. I did turn professional as a child, so it was my career, blessedly, for 25 years. And simultaneously, I was always reading metaphysical books. I was always open intuitively. I was certainly one of those children where I felt very different at school because I could feel another child's pain and suffering, completely empathetic. It was very challenging even to hear harsh words, for example.
Is it something that you shared openly, that you were feeling these things or seeing these things, or it was kind of a bit like had to be a secret because it was not accepted as it is today? Like you're saying, in the 70s it was not. You know,
and also in England, emotions as well at the time. I mean, same as many of us, or all of us, I'm sure, you're too sensitive, that old one. Emotions were a sign of weakness, and so forth. So as far as hiding it, I would certainly internalize a lot, because again, emotions were ingrained in us to shut them off. So But it does run in both sides of my family, regardless. I had parents and certainly grandparents who were exceptionally gifted, and fortunately the blessing was my mother was very receptive to it and very understanding of how open I was. But there was always also a flip side, because I would see ghosts, because I would be very scared, and I would hear them talking and so forth, and it was exceptionally vivid. She was concerned that if I went to, because I was like, Mummy, I want to go to a seance, I want to go and learn this, I want to learn that, and so forth. She was concerned that something bad would happen or I'd be completely terrified. So she did not accept me going to any classes or learning more in that way, just to protect. In her eyes, it was protecting me. But I would still drag her in. There's a place called Padstow in Cornwall, and when I was little, it was the one place that had crystals. So gosh, the delight of just being in that crystal store was magical to me, and always felt drawn to them, always have done.
So this is probably how you got into also creating jewelry. And
my whole thing again with my beautiful clients, and I've seen thousands of clients from all over the world, and having a so-called talisman, some sign, symbol, and also crystals that help to empower the wearer, that help them to understand they are not alone, they are loved, they have their whole spiritual team with them, working with them, loving them, guiding them. That's one thing that brings my heart so much joy, and I've been blessed with so many people who have written to me or come and found me to tell me how their jewelry has affected them in these positive ways, how magical things have happened when they're wearing them. All of this, I just, I bless them, each piece. When I make it, I've been doing Reiki for over 20 years, and I certainly choose each piece very carefully and with meaning. And also it's important to me always to give back in more ways than one. So a percentage of each piece goes to charity as well, so which makes my heart happy.
So I know you were a dancer. When did you start? Did you study or take classes or workshops in different modalities? Because you said you're Reiki. So you did different.
Yes. I did different modalities.
Yes. And when did you start doing that? That when like at the same time you were dancing?
Certainly at the same time. I remember for myself being fascinated by there was tarot only at the time when I was growing up. I was fascinated by them. Simultaneously, they gave me the willies completely. They were very scary, the imagery for myself. But I remember a key turning point certainly was when I was little, and my brother and I would play the memory game, and in England it's called pair. So you put an entire deck of cards upside down and shuffle them up, and then you have to remember which pair goes with which pair. And if ever I started the game, I would put my hands over the cards and pick up the entire deck. Until my brother started crying, Mum, Wendy's cheating again. I mean, cheating, just the thought. It was, my gosh, that would not have gone down well, and I was mortified. But again, it just shows when you are open and you are receptive, and my palms are very, you feel everything. Everything is energy.
I remember someone telling me that, if you train, these things where they have a deck of cards and they just hold them up, but you can't see what's on the card. And they say that if you train, you can really learn how to know, what's on there.
You can. I used to do it. It's almost like a magic trick where I used to do it where I would, at the time I would just use 3 cards a lot to give someone a full reading, and I just intuit everything. but I would put my hand over each card and say what was coming through to me, and then at the end it was like, ta-da! It would be exactly what they just informed me of.
Yeah.
Now, I do want to stress, as far as doing this kind of work, being in an egoic space, it's not allowed.
Yeah.
And anytime you even get a sense of your ego coming up, like the universe smacks it up at you straight away. Karma kicks you in the bottom immediately.
Yes.
So it's certainly a unique and more of a challenging path. But I absolutely have so much passion and gratitude for the work that I do. And including with my jewelry, where I've had pieces.
It's all connected.
It's all connected, and there's lots of celebrities who wore my jewelry: Pink, Paris Hilton, Viola Davis, so on and so forth. And also royalty have worn my jewelry, global ambassadors to the UAE, which is so exciting. And again, it's all an honor, but I just feel the more of a loving, light-giving presence you can be on the earth on a daily basis. That's what we came here to do, my love. So,
and I think, you know, I mean, first of all, it's very delicate, it looks very nice, but knowing that you're really giving them intentions, and it's more meaningful. You know?
Thank you, my love. And one of the things for myself, I was always fascinated by mind, body, spirit. So you asked about other modalities that I did. And certainly with the things that I have learned, the universe has aligned things up for me and put things in my lap. Such as I happened to fly into the UK, and then I met this beautiful German woman who was sat next to me, and she was a Reiki master, and she attuned me for free that same week. I mean, this was in the 90s. It was all, fate has intervened so much like that in my life.
When you're open and your energy, like you're like all like you're attracting naturally. I find this in my life when I'm like centered and I'm putting out an intention, and I have my energy, you know, wanting to achieve something, but not ego, not like for myself, but just for the good of all and everything. Things just naturally
flow and align.
And exactly. You know, synchronicities, everything is just
I know, it's really fantastic. It really is.
Do you remember your very, very first like professional reading to someone, where somebody paid you to do a reading? Were you all okay? Were you nervous? Were you ever worried about telling somebody something they don't want to hear? Like, or is it just whatever comes through is something that they need to hear? But how do you feel about that? Did you ever have problems saying certain things to somebody, or not problems, but more like being more reserved on how you would say things, or is it?
Yes, certainly. It's like we just said, my love, every word has a vibration, everything has a vibration. So when you're putting anything forth, having certainly the diplomacy, the compassion, the respect for how you relay information to someone is so utterly important. So ideally, I always choose my words very carefully. Even if I see something that can be on the challenging side, I've always felt putting the fear of God, as people can say, into other people is rather futile. How does that assist anybody? I'm here to give them productive feedback that can help them to grow and help them to make choices from a higher space. So in that assistance, any lower vibrational energetic stuff, I'm
and
not
I imagine
interested.
that the cards give you support too in what you're going to say. I mean, you may have already an intuition and you already know but the card reinforces what you want to say, so it's easier also.
Yes, my love. And that's the thing. If any of my beautiful clients, and I am blessed with particularly gifted clients, and they're so generous in their heart and nature. I can't thank the universe enough for the clients that are sent to me. But for myself, I do honor and respect anything the client wants to tell me. Some people will tell me everything. Certainly they will tell me things that they don't even tell their mums sometimes.
Yeah.
But it is,
Yeah.
I am so strict with
Yeah.
protecting them and the honor of them opening up to me. But whether they tell me everything or whether they tell me nothing, my job is to listen to the guidance that I receive.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so that's how that works. You know.
So nowadays, most of the readings that you do, you use cards to kind of support the message that's going to come through. Do you have any other modalities that you do, like professionally?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so certainly, I mean, of course I do my healing work as well with businesses, homes and so forth, and healing my clients. I can use sound. Music is life to me.
Yeah.
As
Yes. Yes.
And certainly as a dancer,
As a dancer,
we
yeah,
know
of
this.
course.
Crystals, certainly I can implement. I'm also with that mind, body, spirit, and utilizing all aspects of a being. I was always fascinated by hypnosis. So for years I've been a hypnotherapist, especially trained in the separate field of past life regression.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another thing that is endlessly fascinating.
Yes.
And come through and can also assist people in this life if they are carrying anything over, or there's still lessons that they choose to knock out once and for all in this lifetime. Those are the main things that I do work with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So do you use the cards for yourself?
On rare occasions. I mean, one of my things that I always say is psychics go to other psychics.
Yeah.
So when it comes to oneself,
you have to separate.
you have to separate, and no one's exempt from learning lessons here. So I equate it to cheating on the test. If I knew what was coming up in my life, then I could avoid it, or leap straight into it. And the other thing is, of course, we are, as humans, all born with that mental state of being, with that egoic state of being, where we can manipulate, oh my gosh, does this mean this? Does this mean that? As opposed to somebody who is
completely
non-judgemental and neutral, and then they can see it. So it's simply how we're wired as humans, and very normal. I have known a couple of psychics over these 2 decades, professionals who do read for themselves and find it to be accurate, but for myself, no. Even with a pendulum, I don't use a pendulum unless I'm using it for a client. If I'm working with a client and it's to assist them and I'm asking what crystal, or I'm checking their chakras and so on.
But if it's a situation for yourself,
for myself, I can manipulate it.
Yeah.
It's easy. Again, everything is energy. So if I am wanting a certain result, you can bet that pendulum is going to give me it. So no.
Well, that's a good point, because I've been using the pendulum sometimes, but I feel that you're right. It does give you the answer that you want in general.
You can manipulate it. Yeah. But again, that's understanding the power that we have as humans and being open to that. Not in the context of manipulation, in the context of understanding how powerful we are as human beings, how much love we can give to the planet and those on this planet, etc. Just shining our light, being of love, and feeling empowered by that, and knowing that ideally what we want to create within our life, we have the power to call that in.
Yes.
To ask, the universe certainly, as you said, can align us with certain situations. I know for myself, there's a beautiful dear friend of mine, Doreen Virtue, who I was elated when she came up with angel cards initially, because then they weren't the scary tarot. And as soon as I came to LA, literally days after I arrived, she was giving a seminar at the end of my street, literally at the end of my street. And then she introduced me to her son at the time, Charles. Beautiful Charles Virtue. And so we worked together for years immediately after that.
I know, we talked about this because I took the workshop with Charles years ago. Angel reading, and we did actually also past life regressions and things like that in the workshop. And we did a little bit of mediumship, but it was mostly like the higher, you know, angels calling and things like that. But
angels are amazing. And then I was working at Mr. Jenny Bookstore, a beautiful bookstore, the #1 metaphysical store in LA. At the time, there weren't many metaphysical stores, let's just say that. Someone the other day called me an OG.
That's good.
That summarizes it all, folks. But Diana Cooper, who's another beautiful lady, and the first metaphysical store she ever came to in LA was this Mr. Johnny Bookstore. And of course all my friends were like, oh my gosh, you manifested that, Wendy, because I just loved her so much, and she is such a beautiful lady. So there were so many things that lined up for me, so many instances. You know, I ended up being in the staff of Doreen Virtue. I ended up taking workshops with Diana Cooper, Hay House, way back in the day when Louise L. Hay came out with her first book. I owned that book in the 80s, and then I ended up assisting at Hay House when I came to California. But again,
it was like all in the flow and meant to be, because you were ready and aligned.
I was always ready. I always wanted to do this work. So again, the blessing to have the universe put all of this in my path, I couldn't be more honored. And as everyone knows, I love my work. I mean, that's the whole thing. I love assisting people. I love being there for others. There's nothing better in my heart that I enjoy. Apart from dancing.
No, of course.
Equal in that way.
Still,
Once a dancer, always a dancer, people.
Well, it's another way kind of to channel energy and to just like, it's very, very connected too, because the joy you feel in dancing and the energy and the movements, and we began with the elementals and the ghosts. Are you still having, do you still have like those contacts with like elementals? Like and then ghosts, so that's a different question. Did you ever have to do exorcism or help people get rid of entities or cleanse them? Or you said that you worked for maybe businesses and homes. Is there anything like, you know, energy clearing things? You still?
I mean, that there's been all of that and then some. For myself at this point, personally, any of the really lower base, let's say, vibrational stuff, such as entities and so on and so forth, that I no longer touch. I'm just like, I'll let someone else deal with that. That's not the vibration that I want to get into. So I choose to put my energy in another space. But as far as clearing any spaces, I mean, immediately I'll walk into any area and be able to pinpoint what needs to be removed and what feels sumptuous and delicious. That's
that's the part when I did the workshop with Charles. back in the day, and when we did mediumship, I was very reluctant to do. It was just a little, tiny bit of the workshop, just so we're aware that that also exists, but you have to it's a lower frequency.
It is, yeah.
And I was like, no, I don't think this is for me. But we still studied it, and they, you partner with somebody, and then you read them, and then they read you, and things like that. Yeah. And I definitely agree with you 100%. I'm like, I loved working with the angels and the higher realms a lot better. Yeah. And I felt lighter, and it was just, it carries a little bit of a heavier energy to work in the mediumship. I felt like it was, I don't, and because also I think I carried, I think all kids, as kids, everything ghost and all this is scary. Or dead people, and I
think to adults it's still scary.
It's still scary. So
I know for myself, there's one of the last major times I was in contact with a ghost, and the ghost was right on top of me, in my face here, and it was a man, and immediately I did the exercise of calling in Archangel Michael, beautiful Archangel of protection, exceptionally powerful, to be with me and protect me, and it will be instantaneous. You can use this exercise at any time. And demanded that this energy remove itself from my space, and it worked. So it's a very easy thing to do. Do understand that you are in a space, especially if it's a new home, for example. You can lovingly claim that space. We don't want you to be scared anywhere that you go. You're more powerful than you realize. So and by universal law, they do need to abide by that, and they will leave. So protection is definitely a thing when it comes to ghosts. Spirits themselves, spirits pop in all the time. And certainly, those of you listening and watching will know when you can feel something over your shoulder, or you feel like you saw a flash of something. So those will certainly be times when you can be aware.
I wish I had known all that as a kid, because I was afraid all the time.
I know, we all do. I mean, countless sleepless nights because I was so scared, because they would come into my space. And again, when you're open in the way that we are, that's how it is. There's no magic off switch. Spoiler alert.
So anything else you would like to share? Should we talk about the jewelry a little bit more?
So I've been so blessed with having my jewelry in locations like Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Malibu, Beverly Hills, Los Angeles, etc. And with this, always honored when magazines have me in their spread. So Harper's Bazaar is one that I was most recently in.
Nice.
And people can buy it online too. You have a website?
You can buy it online at
theangelsrock.com,
because the angels do rock. I love my angels, and I love rocks. And I love my music.
And so you select, so it's we talked about crystals and the power of crystals. So there's also the stones and
stones. So you want to always listen to what you're drawn to in any situation. Really, we have the capacity to feel things energetically. Right now, of course, moving into 5D, the fifth dimension on this planet. People are becoming aware. People are becoming more open, and it's fabulous.
Consciousness is.
So always listen to your heart. Heart's connected to your higher self vibrationally. What are you drawn to? What does your eye catch? Listen to that aspect of yourself when choosing anything. So it's very important to do that.
So here we'll have a close-up at the end of the video with the jewelry.
Yes, and then we'll put both of your websites, because you have the jewelry website and then your services website, the
WendyAllamby.com. Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll close it up with one final message that you want to share with everybody that's watching. Is there any important message that you're like receiving right now that you feel the impulse to share with the world?
Yeah, I think one thing that is wonderful, especially for those of you who are opening up right now, and this seems somewhat new to you, although it is coming back to your innate state of being, listen to your heart. You can certainly ask that, ask the universe that your heart be filled with this beautiful fifth dimensional energy, and allow that to exude out from your physical being, placing you in that beautiful bubble of high vibrational energy. And in turn, that can assist you to be aligned with your soul family. And what I mean by that is choosing other beautiful high vibrational souls that honor you, respect you, uplift you, and so forth, and understand you and what you're going through, so you don't feel alone at all physically on this planet whilst the vibration is raising. I know there's other, like, many fascinating things that we could talk about here, but it pops into my mind when I was a small child and I was on the road in Jordan driving to Petra, and all of a sudden, back in the day it was just sand.
Yeah.
All of a sudden there were about 5 or 6 houses off to the side, all this beautiful sandy color, and there was one child who looked exactly my age standing outside in between the house and the road that I was driving on, and my whole being wanted to be with that child. I knew her immediately. I was told, you know this soul. I was in a foreign country. It was that immediate knowingness.
Wow.
And what you can do, my loves, with your soul family, with others that you feel aligned with, you do feel that magical essence, sometimes stronger than others, depending on the connectedness and the soul connection with certain beings, but you will feel differently. And that's what I want you to take with you, just all of that love and being open to being aligned with high vibrational, beautiful other loving souls such as yourself.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me, my loves. You're amazing. I love you both, and I love you guys too. Thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you.